Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of VCTV, the Venture Capital TV, and from La Token. My name is Tani Mohanji. I'm the host and moderator of VCTV. And today we're going to cover the topic on a Friday about impact investment and social responsibility. This is a topic very close to my heart because of the obvious reasons. The pandemic has shown us that there are a lot of gaps in our system and how startups in the impact space are bridging that gap. So yes, happy Friday, viewers. Please stay tuned because we're going to cover a lot of insights from our speakers today. And let's have a quick round of intro of our speakers. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Hi, Amit. Hi, Vandana. Hi, Fabio. So today we are joined by two new speakers, Caleb and Bernard. So let's have a quick round of intro from each of you today. Especially, I would like to start with the new speakers. We've joined the VCTV Asia episode. Caleb, over to you for a quick round of intro.
Yeah, thanks, Sunny. So I'm based in Singapore with yourself, but I run a publicly listed company. We're a UK PLC. We're listed on the Frankfurt main market and also on the OTC in New York. And we take small companies public through our holding company. So we have around 25 companies in the group. We acquire about one company a month. And because we're basically a collective of small businesses, impact and ESG is something that's always on the mind of all small businesses. It's fairly new in the investment world, but in the small business world, we've been looking at it for decades. So it's also a topic dear to my heart as well.
Oh, great. Thank you, Caleb. Yes, I'm here in Singapore. Thank you so much for that intro and background. Next, I'd like to go for Bernard.
Hello, I'm Bernard Oaks. I'm based in Paris. In fact, I have a dual role here today since I'm a partner in a fund called Calao Finance, and we will get hopefully the first close of a fund dedicated to the transition for vineyards in the Bordeaux region and the transition to bio growing grapes, in fact, by the fall. So that's going to be a 50 million fund, and we already have half of the commitment. So it's looking good, and we look forward to the journey indeed. And my second role is since 2016, I'm also the chairman of an urban logistics company based in Paris, which also is an impact company and is on the mission to help e-commerce players move from, let's say, regular diesel ugly transportation to cargo bike delivery, typically along the way.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bernard, and welcome back on VCTV. Glad that you are joined today's panel. Thank you so much. Next, I see another new speaker who just joined us for the very first time, Piyush Verma. Hi, Piyush. Welcome to VCTV. How are you today?
Hi, everyone. I'm good. Hi, Sony. Nice to see you here. So I'm the founder and CEO of Manush Labs. We are an India-based impact accelerator. We recently started our program in the pandemic, and we have done one cohort we have supported one cohort of startups so far, in which there were 25 impact startups, mostly from the agri-tech and waste management space. And our thesis is that we support entrepreneurs who come from tier 2 and tier 3 cities of India. So entrepreneurs who are slightly underserved in the country. And so through our program so far, we have indirectly impacted the lives of more than 9,000 people living in India. And we have grown our network from a few investors to almost 100 co-investors recently from all around the India, plus US-based investors. of our program. And right now we are planning to design a new program which is focused on deep tech for social impact. So more on this later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Piyush, and welcome to VCTV. I'm looking forward to hear a lot of great insights from you already. Next, I have Amit. Hi, Amit.
Hi, Funny, and thank you for having me on VCTV yet again. Look, a quick introduction. I run a venture capital fund that's into the impact space, domiciled in Dubai. It's a $50 million fund that aims to invest in alternative proteins and alternative dairy companies across the world. We run the fund from 4 international locations: New Zealand, Australia, UAE, and the United Kingdom. And very soon, Fonny, you probably don't know this, but our Singapore office should be up and running before the end of 2021. So yeah, we're going to be in Singapore as well. And it's a big food tech hub. Additionally, I also run a management consulting practice that I started in 2007 in New Zealand and scaled it up to Australia, UAE, London, and New York, and employ about 100 consultants. And my actual background before I became an entrepreneur, which was about 16 years back, I come from the brand marketing space, having worked with some of the largest FMCG companies in the world. So I'm basically trying to get my 26 years of experience and help some of the companies that are making impact, both invest in them and grow them. And a huge focus of my fund in the impact space is basically in 3 areas. Number 1, climate change. Number 2, women empowerment. And number 3, food security. So that's a bit about me.
Wow, that's a lot about you, Amit. And what a surprise. When did that happen, the Singapore sort of expansion?
We had actually applied for the branch office license that just came through about a week back. So it's been going on for a few months.
All right. Many congratulations. Thank you, Amit.
All right.
And next I have Fabio. Hi, Fabio. Welcome back on VCTV.
Hi, Sonny. Glad to be back. I hope that the connection works this time. And as some of the viewers might know, I'm an economist by training. I have a PhD from the University of Chicago. I worked for several international institutions like the International Monetary Fund, the European Central Bank, Goldman Sachs. Then I moved to the Arabian Peninsula and I worked for sovereign institutions, the last one of which is the Oman Investment Fund, which is a sovereign wealth fund. Now I'm a partner of Golden Eagle, which is an investment bank in New York. We manage assets for institutions, pension funds.
All right, Fabio. Okay, let's move on to the next speaker. Last one is Vandana. Hi, Vandana. Welcome back.
Hi, Sunny. And first of all, I would like to thank the entire team of VCTV and yourself for having me here over and over again. It's my pleasure to be here on so many panels and getting so many insights from other panelists as well. I was in Singapore and Jakarta for 15 years in investment banking. I had my own family office fund there. I worked as an investment banker and advisor to many family offices and angel investors in Jakarta, helping startups from a diverse background from Fin-Tech, B2B Tech, all the way to consumer startups. I was raising funds for them and providing them a range of services just as Convanto does today. And after 15 years of staying in Singapore and Jakarta, I came back to India. I did investments for a bit and then returned to advisory. That is when Convanto was founded. And today, Convanto is one of the most well-known boutique investment banks in India, led by a female founder. I'm also a venture advisor with Loyal VC, the INSEAD-led Canadian VC Fund, having a core portfolio of 160 investments in more than 35 countries. I'm also a partner with GST Venture Studios, a Silicon Valley-based venture builder. And over the years, I've arranged funding for startups and growth stage companies in diverse sectors like edutech, fintech, consumer B2C and B2B, agri-tech, health tech, food tech, disruptive tech and deep tech, as well as non-tech sectors, and would highly recommend all of you to do have a look at my website and the testimonials mentioned over there. This month, I've been nominated as the top 10 women leaders in wealth management 2021. My expert opinion is often sought by leading business news channels and publications like VCTV and Business World, and I have participated in 150 plus talks all over the world that can be seen on YouTube and VCTV streaming sites. My website is www.convanto.com, and I'm connected with 300 investors globally. We pick up global deals, we are sector agnostic, and typically we do $1 million to $25 million. And once again, thank you for having me here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Vandana, for that introduction. Sorry, apologies. Okay. All right, so today's topic is about impact investments and social responsibility. So let's just start with this, defining what is impact and social, what is impact investing, what is sustainable investing, and how does one develop this sustainable thinking? I would like to start with Amit.
Sure, Fanny, thanks. Look, like I've spoken many times before on this topic, and this topic seems to be what I do every day of my life. Now, impact investment typically, either deals with the environment or deals with social aspects of the change that we are trying to bring about. I think, and more so what we have to understand, it's been led to a great extent by the United Nations Charter, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, which has about 17 areas that they want to make a difference in. Now, understanding impact on the environment side, like I said, deals with areas of climate change, areas of sustainable living. So you've got, aspects of food security, aspects of green and clean energy, aspects of, a more healthier environment and zero carbon offset and a carbon neutral way of looking at things. Whereas on some of the social issues, then you're dealing with areas of education, poverty, upliftment, kind of human rights even, and stuff like that. So that's the difference between, in the impact investment space. The impact investment space is a very broad category, and there are many, many verticals that fall under that, especially the kind of impact a fund or a company or an individual is trying to make. So that's what impact investment is, when you're trying to impact either the environment or the society, taking use of many of those aspects. As far as my fund is concerned, we are more towards the climate change, trying to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by taking livestock out of the food chain. That's the reason we invest in alt proteins and alt dairy. And on the society side, we are trying to bootstrap women entrepreneurs. And probably Vandana would know this, that even in this amazing world of venture capital, less than 3% of ventures are women funded, which is absolutely pathetic and rubbish. And we are trying to make a difference in our own way towards that by bootstrapping women businesses. So that's on the society side that we are trying to make a change. So we deal with greenhouse gas emissions and empowering women and food security. So those are the three areas we deal with, and that's what's impact according to us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Amit. Thanks for that intro. Next, I would like to hear from Caleb. Hi, Caleb. What are your views on impact, sustainable investment, and how to develop that sustainable thinking?
Thank you. So I think that was a great overview from Amit. You saw how diverse it is. I think.
So, Caleb, sorry to interrupt you. I can't hear your voice really clearly. Maybe I think you should take those earphones out and try without those earphones. Maybe.
You just check come back to me while I check the mic's working.
Yeah, let me just go to Bernard next while you do that fixing. Is that okay?
Yep, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Bernard, while Calum is fixing his sort of earphones, let's take this question from you. So, how do you define sustainable impact investing, and how does one develop that mindset, the sustainable thinking?
That's a tough question, Sonny. Well, at first, I fully endorse what Amit has just said, and we are on the same charter. Two things I would like to mention is that sustainable is a journey. You don't become sustainable just overnight. It's a long journey. It's amassing a number of practice and expertise with having all these principles in background and which you put into action. The second thing, which I think is also difficult and important in impact investing, is that you can't, and I have some examples, of course, available. You need to ensure possibly that the solution that you bring to market is also financially viable. When I mean financially viable, it's not only for investors, but it's primarily from consumers. I would just give an example, which is derived from my logistics experience. The company, Urban Hub, has offered cargo bike and food delivery for the last 2 years. It just happens that initially it was underdeveloped, and the price for a delivery was for any parcel was probably 1 or 2 euros more than the regular postal price. And basically what happened is that nobody ever took that. It just started to emerge as a viable alternative at the moment where there were sufficient people available to beat the streets with a bike, so that the pricing became at the same level as the post office. And as soon as this happened, then this cargo bike delivery picked up steam. So that's the challenge. So we can't get it full scale overnight, and we need to make it acceptable for consumers, because the very same person who wishes to save the world will not pay anything more to buy its purchases. That's my point today.
Thank you so much, Bernard, for sharing those views. Really appreciate that. Okay, let's try Calum again. Sorry to interrupt.
I have a mic this time. How's that? Sound better?
Let's ask the viewers.
Still not working?
Piyush, Bernard, Amit?
I think it's kind of cutting out, so your voice is not very clear. It's kind of cutting out in between. Probably it's your Bluetooth connection that might be kind of playing up.
All right, let me kill those.
Okay, while Calum is trying again, obviously trying hard, so we'll see that, because he has a lot to say, so we just need a clear voice. Piyush, let's take this question from you.
Sure, thanks, Sony. I also completely agree with what Amit says, and I also endorse Bernard's view here. So we also believe that sustainability can be of different types. First of all, it can be economic sustainability. If the work of the startup somehow helps society move forward and brings prosperity to the people, increases their income, or brings some kind of livelihood opportunity to them, that's kind of a social responsibility aspect of it. Then of course comes the environmental sustainability, which means working towards a common goal of kind of saving the environment from the harmful practices that that bring climate change. So using sustainable materials and using renewable energy, and getting more better practices involved in order to collectively move towards a better environment. And of course, there is another part of this entire sustainability concept, which is more towards equality. So gender, of course, is an important part of it that we see as an important part of our thesis. And along with gender also comes regional equality. So, for example, our thesis is more about giving equal opportunities to entrepreneurs from even the remote corners of India. And like in our first program, more than 60% of the companies came from small towns and cities of India, which is a region largely untapped and not supported so much as the metro cities. So also a statistic that I would like to put here is that 90% of India's venture capital goes to only 3 large metro cities, and around rest of the almost around 80 to 90% of the cities share only 14% of venture funding, which is a staggering figure. And it's not just in India. Also, if you see in the US situation, majority of the funding goes to 3 states of New York, California, and Massachusetts. So this kind of inequality is there in all major countries of the world, and we kind of want to make this change this narrative through our program. So
wow, that's very good initiative, I would say, Piyush, and thank you for sharing that with our viewers and our audience. Thank you so much. Hello?
Okay, third time lucky. Can you hear me now?
It's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Great. Well, I mean, actually, I get the advantage of having Vandana, Piyush, and Amit going ahead of me, and I think while they each did a brilliant job of explaining the impact investing and all of the different elements of it, I think part of the challenge that we face as an industry or as leaders in this industry is it's still incredibly difficult for investors to get their heads around how, that it's such a wide topic. How do they get into this? How do they back which companies are doing the right things? Are these tangible goals that can be tracked? And now clearly the United Nations Development Goal has given us all a framework that is very useful, but I think we're still, this is very, very early days. Ironically, because as an entrepreneur myself, I grew up in the UK, and we had the Body Shop with Anita Roddick talking about sustainability and animal welfare back in the early 80s, and I think sustainable entrepreneur or social enterprise has been a huge thing in small businesses for decades. And it's only really in the last few years that I feel that the weight has really shifted into the investor community. And I think it's for the first time it's coming from a more genuine place, and I think that's a fantastic result for all of us. But I do think there's still a lot of work to be done from investors themselves, and this is a great opportunity for investors to back those companies and therefore influence in a positive way and amplify their results. But I think we also need to do a better job of helping investors know how they can measure the impact of their investors, of their investments. Certainly in my world, we are a collection of 25 small businesses across multiple different industries. The average age of the companies in our group is 25 years old. So these are well-established businesses. For us, we focus very much on the sustainable goal number 8, which is all around job creation. And that to us, that there's a huge disconnect between you've got trillions of investment capital, and you've got 50% of the world's GDP comes from small businesses. But typically, the investors can't get into small businesses because they're too illiquid, they're too risky, and there's no products for doing it. So that's the area that we're looking at, which is reconnecting that capital with the entrepreneurs on the ground that actually create the value in the world.
Great initiative. I would say, Kayla. So yes, I mean, totally appreciate that thoughts as well, and thanks for sharing. And your voice was very clear as well. So just had to add that. Next, I see on my screen is between Vandana and Fabio. I keep on losing them. So Vandana is back. Vandana, let's take your insights, because I thought like you were not there on the panel.
Yeah, I got kicked out for some reason. Then I had to log in back.
Okay, no worries. I think Fabio is having the same issues as well. I see him in and out. Okay.
So, Sunny, we can think of impact investments or sustainable investments having two aspects. Firstly, it involves, intentionally making investments with the aim of creating a measurable, beneficial impact on the environment or on the society. Secondly, it should also earn a positive financial return. And India is one of the first countries in the world to formalize the role of corporate social responsibility through the Companies Act, which I believe is an extremely crucial change. And considering, the current COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of impact investments in CSR, corporate social responsibility, are being made towards the healthcare sector, especially for COVID relief. And apart from healthcare, these investments can also be in the education sector, agriculture sector, and the energy sector, especially renewable and clean energy, which is India is in need of at present.
Right. Great. Thank you so much, Vandana, for adding those insights. Who we have? Okay, we have Fabio as well here. Fabio, hi. Are you here? Okay. So, some issues, I guess. So let's take the next question that we have on this topic, because I think we're running short of time as well. So what are the different approaches? I mean, obviously we understand what is impact, what is sustainable investment, and you all are doing great stuff on the ground, to bring that impact to the society as a whole. But what are the different approaches to impact investing, and what are the, obviously we all have good intentions, but still would like to know, educate our viewers, what are the intentions what intentions underlie them? Piyush, let's start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Soni, for the question. So I think in terms of impact investing and social responsibility, intention plays a very big role. So, for example, in our case, the intention is to create a society where there are equal opportunities for everyone, and there are ample job opportunities, and also opportunities to express creative ideas freely through their entrepreneurial ideas. That's one of our goals, to kind of create that kind of an innovation pipeline in India, where the entrepreneurs, doesn't matter where they come from, doesn't matter what their background was, they have ample opportunities to express themselves and convert their ideas into something fruitful for society, that can impact lives of the underserved people. So that's our intention, and I think that's deeply rooted to the personal experiences of the core team that we have at Manush Labs. So most of us come from tier 2 and tier 3 cities of India, and we have faced these challenges while growing up, and while even setting up this organization. So now through this initiative, our goal is to help others who are in the same journey and who are facing the same problems. So that is our intention, just to give you an example. So yeah, I would like to hear thoughts of other panelists here.
Thank you so much, Piyush. Thank you so much. Let's hear it from Amit now.
Sure, Sunny. I mean, our approach is quite streamlined to my personal experiences that have kind of defined that, as well as the area that we want to impact. Like I said, climate is a huge aspect of what we are trying to do. And, with this pandemic, we've really learned how sustainable living, especially the food that you eat and the way that you live, is impacting the environment. And I think areas like deforestation and carbon emissions have really contributed to the times that we are all facing right now. Now, as far as our approach is concerned, we are taking an approach, like I said, that we are trying to invest in alternative food sources. So whether it's replacing meat and chicken and fish and turkey and beef, and the list goes on, or it's kind of looking at removing dairy products from the food chain and finding a very healthy alternative. Now, the outcome of trying to do something like that is multifold. Number one, from the stakeholders' perspective, you're doing good to the environment, but then you're also putting healthy food. You're also trying to stop deforestation. You're also trying to kind of contribute towards the fight for animal cruelty, and on the other hand, reducing carbon. As far as the climate goes, as far as our food security program goes, when we start working with companies and ventures that have to source raw materials from farmers, we like to see the whole supply chain, both from a ethical farming perspective and also from a sustainable method perspective. So one thing is about sourcing the raw material, where you would like to source it very ethically from the farmers. Number two is what you do with that raw material. So you obviously put it through food production and food processing. And we like to see those methodologies and adopt a very zero carbon way of doing things that kind of obviously reduces carbon emissions. And number three, which is quite the talk of the town in the pandemic, is the hyper-local situation. So gone are the days that you manufacture in India and manufacture in China and ship it all over the world. I mean, we all know the harmful effects of carbon emissions, especially when you're shipping across continents. So we like to see how people can depend on their own community and their own environment and live off that, whether it's your farmers, your agriculture produce, your food processors, your co-packers, contract manufacturers. So that's the food security that we are trying to kind of make an impact. As far as the social impact goes with us, our approach, as your question says, it's primarily to bootstrap women businesses, and that comes out of two places. One is my own experience in living in New Zealand for 15 years. We've been led with some of the most fantastic women leaders the world has seen, both Jacinda Ardern and Helen Clark previously. And everybody knows New Zealand tops the metrics on quality of life, world equality, on every metrics in the world. And that's because of these women leaders, the job they've done in positioning a country like New Zealand. The other side of this is a personal story. I've been a single, I've been a single parent child. My mom, my aunt, and my grandmom raised me. I lost my father when I was very young, and I'd like to believe that they did a fine job. So from that aspect, we are trying to get that social change in the system in our small way. So these are the three approaches that we are taking on climate, on society, and on sustainability. And I think, like a lot of panelists say, sustainability has to be sustainable. If your venture is not turning over economic profit and economic viability, you cannot sustain your goal, your vision, your passion, and the greater sustainability. So that obviously is an overarching phenomena in terms of our approach. How do we make all of this very profitable?
Absolutely. I mean, that was my next question, but thanks for adding that on, Amit. Next, I'd like to hear from Bernard, his views.
Practical action, that's a good matter. Well, I would say the first thing, it's a daily battle. And what we see as a pretty effective approach is, in fact, as I used to learn earlier, is you get what you measure. As soon as you start to measure things, then people first, they pay attention. They get the evidence they need about the challenge, about the progress they make, about what remains to be done. So you can't drive people with saying them, well, in 3 years from now, you're going to reduce your emissions by 50%. I don't think it works. It will work. It's politics, but it's not a real everyday action. So basically setting up the goals on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, setting up the reporting mechanisms to measure the progress is what effectively works. To give you an example, I attended a crazy French seminar, as we like to talk again in France. It was at the municipality of Paris, and the debate was, for tourism, guys, you need to cut your gas emissions by 30% over 10 years. And the great debate was, how are we going to do that? It's so much. And nobody paid attention that 30% over 10 years in compound rate is about 2% per year. So which business cannot cut its emissions by 2% per year as soon as it dedicates a minimum attention to the matter? So that's where we are today. It's just crazy on some accounts, because as a leader you would say, or as an entrepreneur you would say, this is my goal, this is a corporate goal, I would like the team to do that. And on a daily action, when you go down to your employees, to your customers, well, it gets more complicated. So basically, I believe in metrics. I believe in measuring, because measure is the founding factor for management. And the last thing, which I think we need to do some better work also, is to explain and use the numbers to explain things to consumers as well. I would take two examples which well, are almost commonplace. One is the latest one, let's say. The latest one is the frenzy in Europe about online grocery.
Right.
There has been 1.3 billion euros invested in grocery companies throughout Europe, and they are all fighting to get market share. So in Paris lately, if you buy for 15 euros of online grocery, you get 10 to 12 euros discount on the order. It's just crazy. So, and they promise 10-minute delivery. So so I assume that if you are an elderly people, of course you may use, if you can use a smartphone, indeed, you may use the grocery service. If you are a young person, and it's almost scatters to the 20, 30-year-old people category, who is not able to walk 10 minutes to get a bottle of whiskey or snacks or whatever. So instead of doing this type of little effort, you get people who are rushing in the dark store to collect the items, to make sure that somebody who's risking his life on a bike is going to deliver in 10 minutes. So for me, it is just plain crazy. And we're not going to have any impact solutions in this field. And it almost is in sync with what people like, sorry, but again, Amazon has, let's say, put into our hearts and minds, is that we can get everything almost immediately. So if you need a blood transfer, okay, you need to rush. That might be very critical. But if you need your pair of sneakers, why can't you wait another day and not get it right away? So basically, this whole, let's say, trend is going against impact investing and sustainability. So at the same time that we bring sustainability principles into the companies we invest into, well, hopefully somebody, and maybe a UN or whichever body can do that, is to explain and in simple words to everybody, to the man in the street or the woman in the street, that they can wait a little bit. Waiting is part of the pleasure sometimes before you get something delivered. So that's my take on it. Sorry.
No, but a very good example. I'm just wondering if on a $50 order, you are getting $20, $30 off discount, and everybody is fighting for a market share. So does that tell me that there's a lot of demand, that a lot of people are expecting quick delivery, that they are not ready to walk for 10 minutes to get their sneakers? I mean, why would that be a competition and so much competition for a market share? I mean, I'm just thinking aloud.
It's a matter of land grabbing in the first place. Also, the market is huge in the first place. So you're probably familiar with the likes of Deliveroo and Uber Eats. And the market for grocery is 3 times to 4 times bigger than the market for meals. So basically, it's a big opportunity. Some investors have seen it as an opportunity to, let's say, encroach into the positions of the traditional retailers. And well, why not? Of course. But at the same time, it caters to the appetite for convenience of the younger population. That's the way it goes today. So it's appealing, and of course, it's only about land grabbing. So if you have 10, I would say I could count roughly 10 companies in Paris struggling today to get this off the ground, and they are basically subsidizing customer acquisition. In the end, it's going to be like ride-hailing companies. There's going to be one or two remaining alive, and there's going to be a lot of money purely wasted, because there is no customer loyalty in this field. It's all about price, all about convenience. The sample of products is going to be limited, so that means that there is no room for local producers. There is no room for, let's say, the companies like the ones Piyush would like to see us promote, because they don't provide the volume, it's too far away, whatever. So basically, it's restricting choice for only a small number of categories, and only the big brands can do that. So I don't see where it's going, but at the same time, it's happening.
Right. That's a very good, very good example to share with other speakers and our audience. Thank you so much, Bernard, for sharing that with us and our audience. Okay, next, let's go with Calum. Again, the question is, what are different approaches to impact investing, and what intentions underlie them?
Yeah, thanks. I think Bernard stumbled on what's a very interesting fact, taking us right back to this whole idea of impact investing. It's not actually these companies that are funding this unsustainable rush for growth. It's venture capital. It's venture capital that is chucking huge amounts of money to get this land grab, and that doesn't reconcile with impact investing. And there's many examples of that around the world, and really this is where investors should be willing to put their hands up and say, this is something that while the returns could be fantastic, we're not prepared to subsidize this in the short term. However, as a consumer, it's fantastic for us in the short term. Also, as a New Zealander, I would like to thank Amit for his comments, and I'd quite like to invite him on every panel discussion that I ever go on to lay the way for it. So I think for us, when it comes to impact, we're really interested in wealth inequality, because I think if you can sort out a lot of the wealth inequality, then actually a lot of the other problems take care of themselves. So again, I talked about there's the huge amounts of money washing around in the investment community that are completely detached from the small business world. And I think, basically, I know this is a forum for sort of early stage companies, but actually chucking huge amounts of money at an early stage company, what happens is they go for land grab. And so in effect, what happens is your investment as a venture capitalist goes into those companies and goes straight into Facebook and Google for ads. Whereas if you put that money you find a well-established small business in the community, more often than not, they're turning down work because they can't keep up with demand. They don't have the resources. You give a 40, 50-year-old veteran an extra $1 million in investment, they know exactly how to deploy that to add jobs. So we've got companies in our group that are 30, 40 years old. One in particular, adult education, is booming at the moment. They've added 60 jobs in the last 6 months. That has a far bigger impact on their communities and on the economy than a 23-year-old inventing another Flappy Birds app or something along those lines. So I think that wealth inequality is a huge part. What I do find both very encouraging and disturbing in 2021 is how many of our panelists are focused on diversity, and specifically around women and women entrepreneurs. And I think for any company or investment or investors that are watching this, if your company doesn't represent your market, you've got to get that sorted out before anything else. If you are an investment company full of white middle-aged men, you really need to fix that problem first and foremost. And it pains me that this is still a discussion point. I mean, well, we made a very conscious decision. Some of the best businesses I know are run by women, and we made a very conscious decision to make sure that our board was at least 50% women. And actually today it's more than that. We've got 4 women on our board and two men. But in the world of publicly listed companies, we are an exception. Yeah, I think that it's great to hear that so many of the panelists are focused on this area, but it's also painful that this is 2021 and we're still having this conversation. I mean, that's 50% of the world's population. Why on earth do we have to put so much effort into this? So that's frustrating, but I think that if you can get that one piece tidied up, a lot of other things come with that. So yeah, round of applause to those that are actively working in that space.
Great. Thank you, Caleb. I understand the frustration, and also you rightly pointed out, like, it's 2021 and we still talk about how to bring diversity, especially having women in the board, advisory, founding team. It is frustrating, and we really do not know when is that going to end, but kudos to you. Thanks to you for having, sort of being a public listed company and, having women leadership in your team. That means a lot. Thank you. Let's go to Vandana, the only women speaker besides me as a moderator. Vandana, over to you.
Thank you, Sunny. The thing is, there is a need for these sustainable investments which can help in reducing our carbon footprint and carbon emissions and reducing the adverse environmental impact. And in India, almost 90% of the energy is derived from, burning coal, biomass waste and petrol and other fuels, and only 10% of it is renewable, which is extremely low. This impact can be affordable if there are greater investments by VCs and investors in biofuels, in clean, green and renewable energy like solar, wind, or any other energy efficient sources. And recycling of plastics and other waste are also important sectors where one can invest for environmental impact. And also, as all the other panelists said, that we need to realize that there are actual financial benefits that can be achieved through investments that help in achieving gender equality. And there are reports by McKinsey which say that a move towards gender parity in economic participation can raise India's GDP by 16%. And gender balanced senior investment teams also generate 10 to 20% higher returns for private equity firms and venture capital funds. And apart from financial gains, there are invaluable human and social gains that can be achieved through, gender equality. There can be various ways of impact investments for women empowerment. They can be, micro loans, micro saving services for women that could help boost more women entrepreneurs, funds which exclusively cater to women or have, women as the majority of their clientele. And also support can be extended as a part of CSR to women belonging, groups, and also those individuals desiring to enter into enterprise activities. And the support could involve financial training and, marketing components, etc. So, this is what I feel about it.
Right. Great points there, Vandana, as well. Thank you so much for sharing those points. I'm just a little conscious of the time, but this panel is fantastic. Like a lot of great insights coming out of this panel about impact investments. I just want to, maybe as a closing question, because we have many speakers, I just want to know what are the risks associated with impact investing, and how does the risk return profile of impact investments differ from that of conventional ones? Maybe Piyush, let's.
Sure. Thanks, Sony. It's a very relevant question because impact investing is full of risks. First of all, because of the speed, at which you typically get returns in the in the venture capital world is not the same in case of impact investing. So the investors have to have the patience to understand that these kind of projects take time, and there is no kind of a quick return. So that is probably the biggest risk, which is also in some way you can say a good quality. We need to have patience. We need to support the entrepreneurs and work with them and understand the needs and requirements of the impact world, that to create a sustainable and long-term impact, it takes time. And so if we see example of any conventional startup that is, let's say, serving a particular section of society, let's say the urban elite of India. So these people, the users, are very well educated. They can use your product easily, and they can be returns quickly if the product is good. But in case of impact investing, in many cases the users are not well educated. Let's say you're serving the rural population, or people who don't speak English fluently. So in that case, the scalability component is different. So your product will take a lot of time to scale, to penetrate to the remote parts of the country, and to the users who are not familiar with English and who are not very well accustomed with using tech products. So in that case, the speed of scale differs a lot. So I think that is the risk that I've come across. Would love to hear thoughts of other panelists also. Thank you.
I think very rightly pointed out, Piyush. I totally agree. I mean, the target masses, the consumers that you're targeting, are absolutely not tech savvy. Absolutely, totally agree, and that's the big risk. So yeah, let's hear from Amit. As you rightly said, Piyush, let's hear from Amit what he's got to say about the risk of impact investing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, one of the, building on Piyush's point, it's got a very relevant point. When you're trying to make an impact both on the climate and the society, it's not an overnight phenomenon. It just can't be. And in the vicinity that I function in, venture capital, whether we like it or not, it's much about return with investors. And the patience is as low as 5 years. Beyond that, the impatience starts coming in. So I think, in that vicinity, what we have to kind of look at is, number one, we understand that these impacts are longer term impacts. But on the other hand, we also understand that the company is just not going to be for 5 years. They're going to be for 10 or 15. Now, what part of the journey you want to enter and exit is really up to you. So that journey could be a 20-year journey, but your time in that company could be 5 years. So you do something with a vision of creating a change, but are you going to be the flag bearer of the change to the finish line? That is a point that it's very, very specific to an individual or an investor. Now, from our perspective, now I have a very different view on that, and rightfully so, because of the industry that I function in. I'm in an industry that's growing 40% month on month. And for me, I don't have that problem. I'm selling chickpeas, I'm selling plant protein, I'm selling plant yogurt, I'm selling all of these products that are absolutely going mad in markets like US, UK, Europe, Australia, and most of these areas. On the emerging market side, when you talk about India, like Piyush mentions, and some of those changes, In the sector I am, which is much to do with food and agriculture, the impact, Sonny, is seen very, very quick, because you're buying those materials from farmers, you're using fair trade, you're giving them employment, you're empowering communities, you're pouring back capital inside, and that products that you're buying is quickly getting processed and out of the door to the consumer that's buying these products for a more healthy lifestyle. So in my industry, actually the investment risk is not that. The only risk I find personally is passion versus capability of building a business. Now, a lot of entrepreneurs that I meet are very passionate about change. They're very, very excited about, we want to do X, we want to do Y, we want to do Z. What they forget, that it's a venture. Do you know how to run a business? Can you sustain this goal by creating profits? That's where I feel that most of these passion entrepreneurs that I personally come in touch with have issues with skills in running a business, in growing a business, and making it economically viable. So that's a risk from my point of view.
Great points, Amit. Like for you, the business you are in, obviously there is no much risk in that side, like which Piyush mentioned, like the markets or the consumers he targets, but there is a risk because of lack of passion. Okay, on continuing with your point, like as you said, you have venture capital, and for you, it's the profits that matters more. So let's come into Bernard, because Bernard had a very good story to share with us, taking France as an example and the retails how they're operating. So what do you think about the risk involved in impact investing?
Well, first you have to take into account that cash is rewarded at zero or minus something today. First thing. So to give you just a very down-to-earth example for our wine transition fund. So basically, we're going to invest into the vineyards to help them achieve this 3-year transition to bio production. Basically, we propose our investors a 6% in internal an IRR rate. So that is pretty, let's say, at the low end of the ranges that most limited partners and institutional funds, insurance guys and such are used to. At the same time, usually wine production yields between 0 and 2%. That's the return. So basically, when you have made a big fortune in retail or whichever business, and then you want to spend your money, you buy a vineyard, and then you start paying and signing checks. That's the way it goes. So basically, in our field, after 5-6 years, since it's the same standard duration, maybe the upside won't be that big. But basically, you will have shares in a real business, because the wine won't go away, the vineyard won't go away, and you still have your share of the bottles. Of course, if there's no pandemic for like phylloxera again and something like that. But basically, it's just an adjusted return to the sector, and the downside is pretty limited, because basically it's what you've invested in is not going to go away. So so that's a matter of balance. If you want to make 20% average return, well, don't go into our sector. And if you're going to go above 20%, well, maybe you will get into trouble, because that means that you're going to go into drug smuggling or this type of things. There are other risks associated to the business. So basically, the matter to me, and it goes back to the question, is how do you get the returns and the expectation to be set right?
Yeah,
it's about basically who has the money today. It's the pension funds, CalPERS, and the likes. So as long as these guys start to set the principles of responsible and impact investing into action at their level, that means it will go down to the chain of investors like Amit or ourselves. So basically, if we don't need to deliver 20% plus returns to our LPs, well, that eases the pressure to make responsible investing a reality. If we keep having stellar expectations from LPs, it's not going to fly. So take it at the upper level. That's the one thing to consider.
Great. I think very good points, Bernard and Amit, shared with regards to venture money flowing into impact space. Thank you so much for sharing that. I've learned a lot today. Let's hear from Caleb now. We're just conscious of the time. It's a Friday.
Yes, I'll keep it short. I think the biggest risk that at a macro level that we face is really skepticism around impact investing. I think we had there was a big push for impact investing back in 2007, 2008, and then when the global financial crisis came, a lot of it was appeared to be just hot air. And I think that there's already a lot of talk about greenwashing. People that are claiming to do impact in order to try and get ESG credentials. If you were to write down a list of the top 10 worst companies in your imagination for polluting the world, and then you would look at what are the top 10 companies that are financing and being awarded ESG goals and spending the most money in that space, they're almost always the same companies. And I think the challenge with that is that the market gets jaded. And really, we don't need a jaded market. We need passionate people that are out there. And I think if we can keep connecting, if we can connect those great entrepreneurs with the good investors, and I think as entrepreneurs move up the food chain and become investors themselves, as you can see from some of the people on this call, then we hopefully go in the right direction. But at a macro level, that's what I see as the biggest risk right now.
Greenwashing. Right. Caleb, thank you so much for sharing those insights. I think I'm conscious of the time, and it's a Friday. Lots to discuss. We have another episode discussing about impact investment. So let's just take some closing remarks from each of you and wrap up the show. Vandana, let's start with you. What's your closing thoughts for this, for today and for this week?
I think wish you all a happy Friday. Stay positive, stay happy, and nice to see all of you smiling. And I could be reached out on LinkedIn or on my website. And thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Vandana. Always pleasure to have you on VCTV. Amit?
Great. I think, it's a Friday, it's a weekend for us in Dubai. We don't work on Friday and Saturday. But look, I mean, it's going to be a great decade for impact investments for the next 10, 15 years. You're going to see heightened investments in this space. So that's great. And look, I mean, I'm very accessible on LinkedIn and on my website, on Twitter, on Facebook, and every social media platform possibly there. So yeah, just reach out to me if anybody wants to have a chat. Like I said, I'm a sector-focused fund and generally a very focused human being also. So it kind of goes with my focus. So yeah, just reach out to me if you want to chat, or if you have an interesting venture in my space. I'd love to kind of take a swipe.
Thank you so much, and I'd like to know more about your Singapore venture as well. What's going on? What's happening here later on? Thank you, Piyush.
Yeah, so I would like to thank Sony for the wonderful, program, and also it was great to hear the views of so many diverse set of panelists. I've definitely learned a lot from these people who are surely much more experienced than me. So there was a lot to learn for me here, and I'm right now. In the US, we are developing partnerships for our next program, which probably we are going to launch before the end of this year, and focusing on tech for social impact. So if anybody in the audience would like to collaborate with us, we are available. Our website is manushlabs.co. You can go there. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so you can please feel free to reach me there as well. We're looking for corporate, philanthropic, and investment partners for our next program. Thank you.
Wow, good to know that, Piyush. Good to know that. Thank you so much for being a part of our show. Really appreciate your presence today. Next, I have Bernard.
I'm equally active on LinkedIn. So if you're interested in logistics or wine growing, I'm open anytime, of course. My last comment would be, let's take care of our kids. Let's talk to them about all these matters. Because they're the more concerned by the matter, because they will live in our future. And second, in the short term, they're the more likely to explain to their grandparents or parents why it matters to change a bit their way of doing things. So that's my take.
Very good thoughts. Thank you so much, Bernard.
And it's no greenwashing and no bullshit. It's do it on a daily basis.
Thank you for adding that on as well. Thank you. Caleb, over to you. Greenwashing, no greenwashing, obviously Bernard just said it.
So I echo the comments from the other panelists. It's been a great discussion. And I think, the really exciting thing about this is there are lots of challenges, but there is no better group of people to fix challenges than entrepreneurs. It's what we do. We find problems and we fix them. And it's great to see so many people on this call and in the wider community that are looking at all the different challenges, and hopefully the next generation will carry on the work.
Thank you so much, Caleb, Piyush, Amit, Bernard, and Vandana. So for the speakers, for the viewers of VCTV, thank you for being a part of VCTV, and I really appreciate your time and presence and all those messages that keeps on coming. We love to see your messages and comments. So have a great weekend, viewers as well. I'll be back next week on another episodes of VCTV, different topics, different speakers. Until then, I would like to say, please stay connected, stay happy, healthy, safe, and I hope to see you all back again on another episode of VCTV. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.